team, and the people in this room, every one of us is a friend of mine. In one form or another, we dealt with each other for a period of 4 years, and we brought the border to a level that it has never been. Mark, you have been incredible. Tom Homan has been unbelievable. Nobody knows it like Tom. And I have to say, Chad, you did a great job. You stepped up, you came in and you stepped up and you did a great job, and we appreciate it, and you're still doing a great job. But the border has never been this way. It went from the best border we've ever had in the history of our country, not 20 years. You know, they like to say over a 22-year period. No, it's the best ever by far. It took 2.5 years to start the wall because we were sued by everybody, and then and largely by the Democrats in Congress, by the way. And now, by the way, they're doing a disinformation campaign. They're saying that the unsafe border is your fault. You believe this? Because they're getting killed with the border. So now they're saying, oh, we got a problem. So let's blame the sheriffs. Let's blame the governors. Let's blame everybody else but them. They're also saying it with defund the police. They came out with a term, defund the police. And they're, you know, it's well documented, that's for sure. Just look at AOC and look at Omar. How's she doing? How's her country doing, by the way? And they're telling us how to run our country right now. How are they doing? And now they're saying, no, it was them, us, that wanted to defund. It's like Russia. Everyone said, Russia. I said, what's that all about? Then they said, oh, you were very friendly. Well, that's been proven to be false. Not only false, it was them that were associated with Russia. It was them, the Democrats and Hillary and the group that gave money to Russia. So it's a disinformation campaign, and it's a terrible campaign where they're trying to say this is a disaster for them. Let's blame the people that have really done something about it and can do something about it. But when your hands get tied because you no longer control the White House or Congress, it's a disgrace. Dan, we worked on it hard, and we worked on it long, and we discuss it every week.
Right. And
we had it down to a point that we'd never seen anything like it. I'm so glad that you mentioned the fentanyl, because the fentanyl was almost a non-factor. And now I hear it's just pouring into our country. And it's the most dangerous of all, but just pouring into our country. And we stopped also human trafficking, mostly in women. The human trafficking was almost stopped. We built almost 500 miles of wall, despite 2.5 years of lawsuits, litigation, started by Congress, Nancy Pelosi and the Congress. They sued us for everything. And we won the suits, and we started. And within a few months, you would have had the wall totally complete. And they ought to paint it. They're supposed to paint the wall, and they aren't even doing that. They got to get a coat of paint on the wall. Believe it or not, it does rust. Maybe that's what they like. Let it rust, let it rot. But we built a wall that was not a wall that anybody could get through. We had very few breakthroughs, unbelievably few. It just, the only breakthrough is let them walk around to the few open areas where you have, we had problems on land disputes, et cetera, et cetera. All of those problems were resolved, so we got them resolved. So you could have completed the wall in a couple of months, and they decided not to. Now I hear rumors that they want to do it, but it's only common sense. You know, they were saying we want high-tech security. And I used to go around in speeches, I say the two things that will never get old are a wheel and a wall. And it's true. I mean, when you get right down to it, the wall worked, really worked. And again, almost 500 miles of wall, and then we had another 200 that we were thinking about doing, less important areas from the standpoint of people coming in, but nevertheless, Sheriff, very important. We discussed it. And we did a great job, and within a period of a few months, it was all dissipated. Remain in Mexico, so important. Catch and release, we broke that one. Chain migration, where people come in and then they bring everybody else in with them. We did a hell of a job, and we had it down to really a science. It was down to a point where people just weren't getting in unless they came in legally. And again, the drugs had dropped by 70, 80, 90% in some cases, and fentanyl is true. It almost dropped to nothing for whatever reason, but I guess the reason was we were tough. This was a great group, and all they had to do is go to the beach. If they went to the beach and did nothing, they would have been fine. And they could have even had other people with your policies take your places if they felt that they want Democrats, but that usually doesn't work out too well. But Chad, you and Mark and Tom on the outside, I mean, it was just an amazing group of people. And I'll tell you, Brandon has been incredible. From day one, he came to me from day one. It's no games, no nothing. You knew that we were going to do it right. And I'd ask him a lot. I'd say, what do you think about this? I was calling him once every 4 or 5 days to get his advice, because nobody knows. Like, for instance, on the wall, I was going to build a very good precast concrete wall. Would have been really fast. I loved it. I was going to do super hard precast, the 5,000-pound concrete. And the Border Patrol hated it because they wanted to be able to see through. I said, why? And after we go through, then we put the panels on top. And you're all nodding, it's true. The panels on top, it's sort of a safety climb, no climb panel. And that panel adds great difficulty to being able, believe it or not, because a couple of people said, why'd you put the panel on top? And it was really a no-climb panel. It's very hard to climb it. Once you get there, then you have the panel on top of everything else. So I did it 100% as per Border Patrol, ICE, and everybody else, in conjunction even with your top people. Mm-hmm. We designed a wall that was terrific. You know, you see it as steel, but it's not really. It's steel on the outside. It's hardened concrete on the inside of the bollards. And then it's also rebar, and it's a very heavy rebar and a very powerful rebar, very strong rebar, steel. So we had steel, concrete, and steel, and when they cut through it, they got to really want to get through. They got to really want to get through. And we've had almost no instances of that. So we built a wall that was not penetrable, and we were just about finished, and then we had an election where we did much better than we did the first time. And amazingly, we lost. Check out the New York election today, by the way. They just realized it's a disaster. They were unable to count the votes. Did you see it? It just came out. They're missing 135,000 votes. They put 135,000 make-believe votes in. Our elections are a disaster. But this election, because of you and Dan and Ken and everybody, I want to just thank the people of Texas, because we won in a landslide. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even close. Well, I always said, you know, they were saying, well, Texas is going to be close. I said, well, I'm in favor of oil, I'm in favor of God, and I'm in favor of guns. And they're not. And if you're in Texas and you don't like guns, God, and oil, I don't think you're going to do too well. And they didn't do too well. They didn't do well at all. They did poorly. But we did well, and we did well in other states, too. We did well in states that we lost. We did really well, much better than we did. We got 12 million more votes than we got the first time. One of the media called up, and they said, could I ask you, what was the difference between 16 and 20? I said, well, the big difference is we did much better in 20. And they thought about it. They said, you know, you're right, isn't it? But the vote counting was probably a little bit better for them in 20, because what we've done was appreciated by the people. Mm-hmm. And we better get our elections straightened out, because you're going to have a runaway country. You're going to have a banana republic. You're going to have a third world country here pretty soon, because our elections are a mess. But I just want to thank all of the sheriffs that are my friends. I want to thank the governor, the lieutenant governor, and I'll tell you what, good luck, Ken. And I know you have a little race coming up, huh? Yeah, I know. And I'll be making an endorsement of somebody in the very near future. How many people are running against you, Ken?
2.
2, that's all?
That's it.
Well, that's not bad for you.
No, we're going to do fine.
You're going to handle it all right? Anyway, but he has done a really good job. So, and there's my doctor right over there, my doctor. He said, you know, sir, if you want, you're really smart. You ought to take the cognitive test. I said, oh, what's that? Doc Ronnie, right? Now we call him Mr. Congressman. What a job you've done, Ronnie. They went after him, and it didn't work out too well. There you are. The Democrats went after him like you wouldn't believe. But he did a test. Did I ace it?
Yes, sir.
I aced it. And I'd like to see Biden ace it. He won't ace it. He'll get the first 2. There's 35 questions, and the first 2 or 3 are pretty easy.
Maybe the animals.
They're the animals. Is this a lion, a giraffe? When he gets to around 20, he's going to have a little hard time. I think he's going to have a hard time with the first few, actually. But so we really have something to be really proud of what we did. And honestly, very simply, we have to do it again. You have to go back, stay in Mexico. That was very hard to get. That took us litigation, dealing with Mexico. I really think the president of Mexico is a great guy. Surprisingly, he wants to see this worked out.
Exactly right.
Because he has people pouring through his country by the millions, by the way. Not, I see 100,000 here, 100. For every person you catch, and these experts say 4 or 5 get through, but I think it's a much higher number than that. It's a big border. I think it's a much higher number. Now, the wall has stopped a lot of it, and you're going to finish up some of the wall, and maybe they're going to finish it up. They're under a lot of pressure to finish it up, so maybe they're going to finish it up. Tom is probably saying, I doubt it. I mean, the real question is, do they really want open borders? There's only 2 things. You're either incompetent, or for some reason you have a screw loose and you want to have open borders. Now, the problem with the open borders is that countries are opening up their jails, they're opening up their prisons, you guys see this, and they're letting all their prisoners out. You notice their prison populations are way down. They do it very slowly because they don't want people to know this, but I know it. And they're letting all of their murderers, rapists, drug dealers, and human traffickers out, and they're coming into the United States of America at a level like we've never seen. They weren't coming in with us. And in fact, one of the quick stories I tell is that when we first started, I said, get them out. And I said really more than anybody, I guess, to you, Mark, you and Tom.
We're going to take another quick 2-minute break here on News Now from Fox.
They say are the worst in the world. They certainly might very well be. I see what they do with knives, where they cut them up into small people. They cut people up into small pieces because it's more painful than using a gun. I said, get them out. And Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador would not accept the people. Under the Obama administration, they wouldn't take the people. So the people came back to me just routinely, sir, I'm sorry, but they won't take them. I said, who won't take them? Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. They won't take the people back. I said, oh, really? Why? They don't want them. I said, okay. How much money do we pay them? Sir, we pay them $500 million a year. What does that have to do with it, sir? I said, a lot. And then I got a call the next day from the heads of the 3 countries. We would love to take MS-13 back. They are wonderful people. We'd love to have them back where they belong. And we never had a problem after that. But now I understand they're not taking them back again because we don't deal with those countries right. I got along with the 3 people plus the president of Mexico beyond. He's a fantastic man. He really is. He's a fantastic man. Very different persuasion. His thought process is very different. Could be on the socialist side. But I'll tell you what, we worked along really well together, and he's a terrific man and a terrific person, and he loves Mexico. I will tell you that. But we opened it up. They used to have airplanes on the runway, so we couldn't land our planes with their MS-13 horrible criminals in the plane. So we couldn't land them. We couldn't get buses back. And once I did that, they took them all back. So we had all these great policies going, and they were all ended. One day they were ended. This didn't take place over 3 months or 5 months. This took place in the first week. They were ended. It was almost like they were ended because I did it. But, we did a great job. In the history, and I appreciate what you said, Sheriff, because in the history there's never been, and not me, all of us together, there has never been a border so secure as the southern border that we have. And now it's opened up. And don't kid yourself, they're coming in from the Middle East, and they're coming in and they're bad. They're coming in from the Middle East. I'd say, well, where are those people from? Sir, they're from Yemen. Oh, really, Yemen, right? How's that all about? They would dump them off in South America, and they make the journey up because it was the southern border, and that stopped with us. That stopped fast. And now we have an open, really dangerous border, more dangerous than it's ever been in the history of our country. And we better go back fast. And, I watch a couple of, even you people said that, well, we could start it immediately. Well, it's not going to go fast because you have to go back now and start the whole thing up with Mexico and with the 3 countries. It's not going to go that quickly. They say, well, we should just immediately go back. It's not that easy. This was a lot of hard work and very good negotiation. We did great negotiation. And we did things like, we're going to charge you tariffs if you do this or if you do that. And all of a sudden they said, well, we'd love to have you have it your way. We want every point, every single point. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. So it's not that easy to go back, I will tell you. This is bad news for you, and you know it.
I know.
And a lot of people like to say to the media, well, we could immediately, I saw it today, we should immediately go back to the Trump policy. It's not that easy now. It's not that easy. But we have a sick country in many ways. It's sick in elections and it's sick in the border. And if you don't have good elections and if you don't have a strong border, you don't have a country. So with that, we're going over to the border right now. But we're going to the real part of the border where there's real problems, not a part where you look around and you don't see anybody. We're going to admire the wall and how it works, because wherever we have the wall, that's what made the big difference. It made tremendous difference. And I just want to thank the people in this room. You have been incredible, incredible partners, including those characters back there that are all friends of mine. Every single one. Good job on television yesterday morning. Really good, Brian, I'll tell you, really good. So I just want to thank you all very much. It's an honor, and we have a tremendous crowd waiting for us, and I don't want to keep this man, I don't want to have him be late. I want to keep those approval ratings right at 92%. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. You take care of yourself. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.